Hello everyone, I'm Kyle, gameplay designer on Company Heroes 3.
And I'm Matt, lead gameplay designer for this wonderful game.
Today, Matt and myself, we're going to be showcasing a classic match here between two of our top Co-1 players from back in the day, Dev M and Aimstrong, playing in the multiplayer pre-alpha build. We'll be talking about their game, but also mainly talking about the armies, some of the faction mechanics, new gameplay systems, the new Battlegroup systems, all the fun new stuff that you can expect to see in this demo, and just also about a bit more about co-development and how that shaped the game thus far. Just a heads up that the replay system we're currently using today is work in progress. It is only from the perspective of one player, but it should be still great to watch this match with.
I'm excited.
All right, so here we go. So first off, we got Aimstrong, who will be playing as the Wermach, which is his go-to faction from his Co-1 days. And on the opposite side, we have Dev M, who is playing the Americans, which is he was a top 5 player in Co-1 as the Americans. So this should be a pretty exciting match.
Yeah, these are two of the classic members going at it, and I've watched these guys since Company Heroes 1, so I'm really excited to see what they can do here. And you stated, we got Aimstrong as the Wermach. So what's a good way of providing a good overview to our players about this faction?
Yeah, so the Wermach Faction, once again, it's pretty representative of the Co-1 Wermach Faction. It has that defensive playstyle, that defensive start, and it also has some of the classic units that you see on a regular basis. So the Grenadiers, the HMG, the Pioneers, but it's also got some new flavor added to it that we'll get to in a little bit here once we see some of Aimstrong's tech choices. Right off the bat here, you can see in this video. Aimstrong's already gone into his battle group choice, and he's selected the Luftwaffe battle group. So just to talk about that a little bit, basically it is a very air-themed battle group, which focuses on airdropped units, air support attacks, such as strafes and different paradrop units as well. So it should be interesting to see where he goes down that either branch of the tree. Matt, what were your thoughts on the battle group system so far?
Yeah, that's actually one of my personal favorite systems of the game. It's been a system that we've worked tightly with our closed group community to iron out, to figure out, to kind of reflect on both the Company Heroes 1 and the Company Heroes 2 system. And I feel that we've got it in a really nice place where there's a lot of good diversity, replayability, and just lots of different options and choice within each battle group. So, for example, we've got Aimstrong here who selected the Luftwaffe, but there's a lot of different ways in which he can make use of it. So I'll be interested to see what path he chooses today versus Dev M.
Yeah, that's right. And just to speak a little bit more about the battle group system to give players a bit of idea of what it is and how it works is it's basically an evolution of the Co-1 Commander Doctrine system that players might be familiar with, where we've really tried to go back to get the best elements of that system. So as you'll be able to see throughout this match, unlike the Co-2 system where it's more of like a linear progression where abilities automatically unlock. Instead, Aimstrong here is going to have to actually make choices throughout as he earns command points to make choices to pick which ability he wants. And what's interesting here, what we've added to the system from what Co-1 had, it also has exclusive choices in it. So there's going to be choices in this battle group where Aimstrong picks one, and by doing so, it locks out the other one. So an example of that will be basically near the end of the tree, where he has to pick between a rocket run and a different ability. So we'll be interested in seeing what kind of choices he makes and the consequences those choices have on the match.
Yeah, absolutely. So you see, for example, on the flip side, Devaman's already made a choice with a battle group. He's also on for the Airborne battle group for the Americans. So we're gonna have an interesting match here with Airborne versus Airborne. But you see, there's actually a unique unit with the Airborne called the Pathfinders, which is a bolstered scout squad. So that's the one that you can see right there with the vet star above it, currently fighting against the Grenadiers. He actually made use of a nice smoke ability earlier against one of Armstrong's squads, which was looking pretty good.
Yeah, no, the Pathfinder is a new unit we just actually added to that battle group very recently, and as you can kind of see there, the Pathfinder used a rifle grenade on that HMG squad to knock it out and take away that suppression for a few seconds, which gave him a few seconds there to get away from it and reposition. So not only do you get the smoke, as you called out, you also get a flare ability with the Pathfinder squad, and that rifle grenade, and they have a fast capture passive ability, so there's just so much utility in that Pathfinder squad that I can see DevM is already utilizing to its fullest.
This might be a good segue, actually, to talk about one of the faction mechanics that we have for the Wermach army. So, which you can see above the mini-map just to the left there, and that is the Field Marshal system. So we've got battle groups established, but a unique aspect for the Wermach is that they have 3 Field Marshals which they can make use of, and then they can select one, and that will establish a little bit of a theme throughout their army and their playstyle. So we see that Armstrong's already selected the Special Operations Field Marshal, which I'm guessing he's probably going to make use of some incendiary grenades for his Grenadiers later on. And another one of their, what it does as well is the Field Marshals is it makes use of, it changes the veterancy for all your units on the field. So Grenadiers, as far as I know, they've got fast capture ability, and that could be pretty nice because, you know, at this point he's fielding 4 Grenadiers on the field. So being able to capture zones quicker, he's going to get some good benefit out of that.
Yeah, that's right. So it's an interesting new mechanic that we're trying out with this faction. As Matt mentioned, if you're looking for a way to use this, it's just in the left-hand side of the screen there above the mini-map. You see those 3 faces, which are currently CO2 commanders that you can see. But anyway, what those choices do is you just pick one at any point in a match. It's a free choice, and then once you picked in one, you're locked in, so you can't choose a different one at a different time. And then, as Matt mentioned, it gives you your entire, based on your choice, your entire army has a unique Vet 1 ability, and also unlocks a unique grenade for your Grenadier squads, in this case the incendiary, as Matt mentioned, where the other 2 Field Marshals provide a different grenade, a stick grenade and a rifle grenade, depending on which one you choose, and some vehicle upgrades down the road as well. So lots of replayability, lots of diversity that we're trying to add to this army through these exclusive choices in, as we mentioned, the battle groups and in the Field Marshals. So each time you play, you can take a different approach. You can execute on a different play style that kind of suits the battle group and the Field Marshal that you choose.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. We've had a lot of good experimenting internally as well thus far to kind of see, where the Field Marshals fit with the battle groups and figure out all these different strategies. That's been a lot of fun. I forgot how good this map looks. So we're in the Mediterranean theater this time around, and we're in Italy here. And this is an interesting map. It's called Twin Beaches, and it features, as the name states, 2 beaches on 2 sides. And there's actually a light tower just south of this position as well that even provides an elevated position for a little bit of height gameplay, which is kind of neat. But there's this map also features quite a few hard cutoffs, so we're kind of returning to, at least in the sense of 1v1 matches, we're kind of reinstoring that height. That cutoff gameplay that's been well established in the series.
Yeah, that's right, and it'll be interesting to watch as they try to use some of these elevated positions to their advantage, similar to cover or garrisons, where getting that height advantage can make all the difference. As you saw there, the scout squad, or sorry, the Pathfinder squad, used a rifle grenade to kill that MG. But yes, we're talking about the height a bit more. It can really change the tide of a battle, and you see in the top of the screen there where that Grenadier squad is in. Not only is it in cover, it was also had a height advantage at its target currently, which I believe is that Pathfinder squad. So what that's going to do is actually it's going to negate that cover of that Pathfinder squad and provide an accuracy bonus to those Grens because they had that height advantage. But as you see here, the Armstrong has a great consolidated force, and he's pushing Devem out here and regaining control of that cutoff point that you were calling out as well. Because if you would have lost that point, he would have lost access to all the resources on that beachfront, and that would have been and put Armstrong in a pretty tough position.
It's been a good back and forth thus far, absolutely. There's been some really great usage from Devem with his Pathfinders. He's made use of both rifle smoke and the rifle grenade against the HMG and the Grenadiers. Oh, there's a rear armor hit from that was the Faust, right?
I think it was the AT gun actually in the back line there. So yeah, definitely Armstrong using the flank of the AT gun to get that rear armor shot. Of course, this time around we're also introducing side armor, which will be a first for the Company Heroes franchise. And so what that all means for some of our new players is every vehicle in the game has an armor profile, we call it. So they have frontal armor, side armor, and rear armor. And the side and rear armors have a lower value than that of the front. So if you want to get those shots to penetrate the armor and do damage to those vehicles, then it really pays off to try to get those flanks in on the sides, or preferably the rear to try to almost guarantee those shots penetrate and do damage. So it'll be interesting to see how that really plays into the vehicle combat down the road as we get into more vehicle-heavy games in the future.
So I've just noticed that Armstrong has selected the Fallschirmjägers unit. He's used that to bolster his forces on the hill there, which that could turn the tide of that battle, because that's a high fuel point, and that's very important to this map.
Yeah, not only is he doing a great job of defending his fuel points, he's really utilizing those flame incendiary grenades that come with the Special Ops Field Marshal. But he's been in a bit of a trouble here. It looks like his troops are getting pushed back. A lot of them are low health, but he still has a strong force on the field. But it does look like he's gone for a very infantry-focused build order here with 4 Grenadiers. He lost his Pioneer. He replaced it with the Fallschirmjägers, but he's still got that AT gun. But a very traditional approach, I find, to playing the Wermach. It's reminiscent of some of the Co-1 builds you might have seen in the past. And it's probably what he's most familiar with, but it'll be interesting to see what he does when he reaches some of the later stages of the game and goes into his Tier 2 and Tier 3.
Ooh, that Pathfinder just got out of dodge at the last second there. Yeah, so you mentioned, and you're right, that we kind of have gone back to the roots with the Wermach faction to some degree. We want it to feel familiar and want players to feel at home, certainly in the initial stages of the game. So you've got Pioneers, Grenadiers, Fallschirmjägers, these units that are grounded in our series. But now we're going to get into a little bit more of the teching here. And this is where it gets really interesting with the Wermach faction, is essentially how the teching works is you kind of make a hard choice with that faction, wouldn't you say? Where you're kind of pretty much teching to make a decision on how you're going to play your Tier 2 and your Tier 3 as that faction, because you make a Tier 2 building, and then you select upgrades deeper within that building in order to complement your playstyle. So do we know actually at this point what Tier 2 building that Armstrong has selected?
Yeah, actually there is already a tell because he's gone the AT gun. So the AT gun is in what we're calling the Panzer Grenadier Company currently. And yeah, so that one, again, using that unit reveals what tech path he's gone, and here it is on screen right now. You see he's got the Panzer Grenadiers in that tier, which is a high DPS close range unit. He's got the AT gun, he's got a half track, and then he also has that side tech upgrade you see on next to the Panzer Grenadier squad there, that allows him to tech deeper into that building and get the Nebelwerfer and the Stug. So he kind of has a decision, a branching decision to make at this point. Is does he go for that side tech upgrade to get those more powerful units in that building? Does he side tech to the other building, the other tier 2 building available to the Wehrmacht, which gives him a whole different roster and suite of units with the Jaeger light infantry, a 20mm team weapon, flak gun, a sniper, or sorry, actually no, that's not right anymore. It's an armored car. We just recently made that change. And you can also unlock the Wirbelwind and the Martyr. So that, or does he go right for the Panzer building, which looks like he did. He's really pushing in his advantage here with all this map control, and he went straight for the Panzer armor, Panzer company. Which gives him access to the shock troops, which are a very powerful late game infantry unit, the Panzer IV, and the Brumbar, which are a couple classics from KO2 that our players should be very familiar with.
Yeah, it looks like I'd say he's made the right choice, like you stated. He's got really good map control. He's been controlling that high fuel a lot. So instead of doing, what it would have been a traditional tier 3 tech up, he's decided kind of to go the distance and get Panzer IVs in that final tier building. So I'll be interested to see how DevM responds. So far, there's just been the Greyhound on the field, and he's been pretty light on riflemen because he's been going in deep into the Pathfinders. So I feel like DevM could use a little bit more field presence. Maybe again he's made use of that airborne battle group. Oh, hold on a second. Just as I say that, we've got a plane. So it looks like he's dropping in paratroopers in hot, actually quite hot, because there's a Panzer IV pretty nearby. And so I don't know, but DevM is known for his risky play. So I'll be interested to see how this all turns out.
That's right. Yeah, he's using that airborne paratrooper paradrop ability to go in and get that fuel just south of the victory point on the beach there to cut Aimstrong off of plus 10 fuel, as you see here. And which is great about the airborne battle group for the Americans is that paratrooper ability, they can paradrop into the fog of war, so they can really get in behind your enemy, in behind your lines, and cause a lot of havoc and cut you off, and just be really frustrating for flanking team weapons and things like that. So it looks like that's what DevM is trying to do here with that fuel cutoff. But we'll see how Aimstrong responds and to get that fuel back. So far, he's looking pretty good still with a lot of map control.
Yeah, for sure. So, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I was just gonna say, it looks like he's made most of his choices for his battle group so far. He's got the Fallschirm Pioneers locked in. He's got the rocket run, the strafing run, the Fallschirmjägers. I think he only has one choice left there. So it'll be interesting to see what choice he makes. But the American player is definitely going to have to make a big push here to try to get some of this map back.
Yeah, I would love to see some Fallschirm Pioneers on the field, considering that Aimstrong doesn't have any Pioneers right now. He's going to need some at one point to repair that Panzer IV up. So they're a brand new unit to this series, and that's one of my personal favorites. It's kind of neat to see an airborne combat engineer dropped into lines, and they have a lot of very unique capabilities. They've got some really interesting weapons between the LMG, and I think we also have a GRB-39 grenade launcher on them as well, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they have a ton of utility, and they're actually a 0 command point unit. So you can actually, Aimstrong didn't do it this time around, but you can actually use them right out of the gate to, again, bolster your forces and get those upgrades as early as possible. They have a couple of very strong weapon upgrades. They have a ton of utility, and they're, like you said, they're just a really fun unit to play. But Aimstrong is using, getting great use out of those Fallschirmjägers, as you see here, as he pushes the paratroopers back. But he also does have a lot of help with the Panzer IV and Grens, always on hand to support his advancing units.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the noose is tightening, it seems. Looks like there's a sea of blue, and Aimstrong is really sucking up quite a bit of the map. I really think that DevM will probably need to consolidate his forces and maybe pick one side of the map to break out. But that's tough. It's tricky. He's got the Panzer IV on the field. So as the American player, let's see. You've got some opportunities. I'm not too sure how deep he is into his tech, but if he's into his final building, a Hellcat would be a good hard counter to the Panzer IV on the field right now. He can also make use of the paratroopers, but maybe an AT gun. Another thing that the airborne battle group that the Americans have access to also have an airdropped anti-tank gun, so that could be useful as well to maybe make work of that Panzer IV. So he's got a few options. He's not out of the water yet, and he's been doing a good job keeping that Greyhound on the field thus far.
Yeah, keeping it alive, keeping in the fight, earning veterancy, all very important aspects of a great player is just that squad preservation. Making sure your squads make it back to base, retreating at the right time, and earning that veterancy that will help them scale into the late game. But one of the great things about going the airborne battle group is the flexibility and diversity it allows you to have with your tech tree. With the paradrop AT gun, and there's also a paradrop HMG in there as well, but he actually chose the Pathfinders over that option. That has a rocket run as well, and just a lot of utility there that lets you maybe skip your weapon support center building, maybe even skip your motor pool, and potentially even rush right to your tank depot. But in this match, he is a little bit behind the 8 ball, so he's going to have to play a little bit more conservative and try to get something on the field here to deal with this Panzer IV.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we've added to Company of Heroes 3 this time around, which actually you're not seeing so far too much in this game because the players are kind of avoiding, oh boy, we got the Nebel firing at the building.
You just hate that building so much.
Yeah. But I was going to talk about breaching, because there's a few key buildings on this map that you can lock down that kind of that center lane of the map with them. And there's certain units that have access to breaching capabilities, such as the Panzer Grenadiers and also those Fallschirmjägers do as well. But it looks like we've got an airstrike called in just now. He's attempting to do the rocket run, if I'm not mistaken. We've got the Greyhound, which has got a damaged engine, so he might catch it.
Yeah, so all depends where that rocket run lands, and it looks like it's going to fall just shy of that Greyhound, which was retreating away from it. And it looks like it did miss the Sherman as well, as that came in after. But yeah, speaking of breach, you kind of saw a Nebel breach there as it tried to breach that building with its rockets.
That's one way of breaching.
Yeah, but not quite as intended. But breach has been a really fun and interesting new feature, as it's really kind of opened up some of the early game, or early and mid game really, to those garrisons that really hold a strong position on a map. Now there's just an additional tool to deal with MGs in buildings or units in buildings that if you lose the race to a building, you don't have to necessarily side tech into something like a different building or something else. You have a tool available that lets you deal with that threat in that building just a little bit more at your fingertips. And it does really take the players say knowledge and experience to be able to recognize that, and also to be able to dodge those breaches, as we'll see more of them as co-development continues.
Mm-hmm. So I've noted that Aimstrong had some really nice, he's playing pretty aggressively with his anti-tank gun, but he managed to get some really nice side armor shots on that Sherman. That was one of the things, as Kyle and I were discussing earlier, and that side armor is now a new thing. So if you're not paying attention to how your vehicle, is faced in terms of its frontal armor, it can, it can harm you for sure. And that was an instance there.
Yeah, that's right. You really have to be more mindful of your flanks, make sure you support your units with anti-tank guns and mines to protect your flanks, because flanks are going to be a lot more deadly in Co 3 than they've ever been. And so that you're going to have to be a lot more mindful of those things. But it should also be a lot more rewarding for the flanking player. to be able to make those dives and get those kills with a little less, let's say, threat to losing your own vehicle for nothing. So it should be a lot of interesting vehicle combat that we'll see during this pre-alpha playtest.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how the vehicle combat plays out for sure. So, and speaking of vehicles, looks like Armstrong has just queued up the Big Daddy, the Brumbar, and there's a lot of infantry on the field. You've got some riflemen and some paratroopers that, they might not be in for a good day if they meet up with that Brumbar.
That's right. A lot of soft targets, as they like to say, that the Brumbar can eat for breakfast. So it's about to hit the field here, so it'll be interesting to see how it makes its debut on this battlefield and what DevM does to respond. Obviously, it's got a devastating high explosive shot, but it also has a ton of armor on it, which makes it difficult to attack with your AT gun. So here it is. Oof.
Oh, very good first shot out of the gate.
Yeah.
I see Armstrong's planting a few mines as well in some of the choke points on this map. That's good. The good uses of mines to cover his flanks, because that's definitely what DevM is known for. He's very good at swarming from all angles. Still making good use of the Greyhound. Gets another kill there. That'll help.
Yeah, he's picked up a couple kills here. He's killed 2 Grenadier squads, which had a lot of vets, so those are some big pickups. He's killed that Fallschirmjäger squad, so he's doing a lot of work, but he's just not able to get really control of this map, as Armstrong is just doing a really good job of defending his territory and pushing DevM back. As the American player in this situation, what would you recommend DevM do to try to push out?
Well, as I stated earlier, he's got to consolidate his forces and kind of make a really concentrated... He actually has to take a little bit of risk as well, just make a concentrated push. Now, you see the Sherman right now diving in deep, but unfortunately, he's got Simon's ready for him with an anti-tank gun on the hill, just waiting. And he's got Grenadiers and a Faust, so he's saying hello. But yeah, I think... we probably just needs to organize a good unit composition. I mean, a little bit of indirect fire probably wouldn't have hurt as well. Whether that's, I think again, actually, one of the things about breaking out is you should be making use of those, the Pathfinder flares. So the flares and the scout squads as the Americans, one of the biggest strengths about the American Army is its reconnaissance capabilities. So for example, within the Airborne battle group, you've got a recon loiter. You also have access to the Pathfinders, as I stated, that have a flare. So I really think that DevM should be maybe kind of taking a look at where Simon is at before doing these pushes. He's kind of just flailing across the map and running into some big problems.
Yeah, just running those vehicles straight into AT guns, straight into Faust, which really is just crippling his the vehicles he has on the field, which he has to make a ton of use of. Another thing about the Pathfinders that we mentioned earlier is they do have smoke, so that is another great tool that he could use to smoke those AT guns when making those vehicle pushes, and comboing that with the scouting aspect of a flare. That could make it possible to make some pretty big spearhead style plays here, but it is early days. Even the best players in the world still need to take time to learn the faction. There's a lot there to learn. There's a lot of new stuff for them to try out and experiment with, and I expect we're seeing still a lot of that today.
Absolutely. These are robust factions. There's a lot to absorb. I think there's battle groups, there's faction mechanics, there's new units, there's new ways of teching up, and the combination of all those parts, there's a lot there that we hope that this is going to really, working alongside our co-development program, there's going to be a lot of really interesting, creative ways to play these factions. So this is the part that's really exciting for me, to just see how our players make use of the tools that we provide them.
Yes, and that's definitely been a goal of ours from the get-go, is to create as much options and diversity as possible, so players can find lots of different new and fun ways to play the game that they may have never been able to experience before, or just haven't thought of before. So hopefully we've done that, and we definitely look forward to watching you guys play in this demo and seeing your feedback in the forums for us, as we know we still have a lot of work left to go. We're still pre-alpha, so that's very early days in development, and it's going to be the fans, our players, is really and their feedback that's really going to shape this game into like the best possible version of Company Heroes that we can deliver for launch.
Absolutely. So you saw DevM actually just field one of it's a returning unit, I guess, essentially, because it made its appearance in Company Heroes 1 in the Tales of Valor expansion, which is the Hellcat, and I love that tank. I just think, it's a lot of fun. It's speedy, it's agile, it's high impact, high risk, and got a high velocity 76mm gun, I'm pretty sure. And now he did kind of, again, that reconnaissance aspect, he kind of just rushed it in and ate a Faust, but I think if you can make that Hellcat work with these paratroopers here, you could potentially use some combined arms to make a play at taking down one of Aimstrong's vehicles here and get back into things.
Yeah, he does have a decent army composition. He has, the paratroopers with the 2 bazookas. You see the little plus sign there next to the paratrooper bazooka symbol underneath the decorator. And that signifies that that squad has 2 weapon pickups and more than just one. So in this case, it happens to be 2 bazooka squads. He's got the Hellcat doing a lot of work here against the Panzer IV, going for that kill, which looks like he's going to get it, which he does. Now he just has to escape this other Panzer IV and utilize those paratroopers on the back line to defend against the Panzer IV rushing in and killing this Hellcat.
This is going to be close.
But it looks like
some frontal armor saving the day.
Yeah.
And the Greyhound's trying to get into the action as well, but the Brumbar decides to say hello. But we got an AT gun. It's looking like it's in it. Oh, he just moved it, unfortunately. It was in, but that durable frontal armor as well. Oh, we've got some Panzer Grenadiers on the field as well.
Yeah, so it looks like Aimstrong is rebolstering his army after losing now he's lost 3 Gren squads and the Fallschirmjäger squad, so he's bolstering his army with the Panzer Grens, which are a bit of a later tier infantry squad. They are a very powerful squad with the submachine guns, so they do a ton of damage at mid and close range, and they do have a very powerful grenade. But what he's missing now with losing those Gren squads, he obviously loses the Faust, which is a big component to pushing away infantry and crippling vehicles, and crippling vehicles. And he's also losing the grenade that they had, that incendiary grenade, which did so well for him earlier. And then also the merge ability, which is something that you're probably familiar with from KO2 for those who played the conscripts, the Soviets. That merge ability that lets you bolster your team weapons or even other infantry squads and keep them on the front line longer. As a 6-man squad with the Grens, that's actually a great ability because they can usually afford to lose or spare a couple infantry squads to keep those other team weapons in the fight longer.
Are we seeing a Nebel shot into the base right now?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Going for the medical tent.
Yeah.
Dirty.
Attacking the medicals.
So we've covered a lot of the Wermach faction thus far, and but what about the American faction this time around? So maybe we can talk a little bit about that. Again, that's another faction where we looked at the spirit of Company Heroes 1. Oh, we're seeing a really nice flank. Oh my goodness, Sherman goes down. Like here comes the Hellcat. But I think the American army, it's a very well-rounded army. It's very infantry-centric. You've got riflemen, you got paratroopers, you got dedicated bazooka teams and scout squads. Some of my personal favorites, actually, like the half-track, for example, this time around. There's a lot more capability with the half-track. There's a 75mm upgrade that allows you to essentially be kind of like an anti-tank gun on wheels. But it also has a nice barrage ability. So it's similar if you're familiar with Company Heroes 2, it's kind of like the Su-76 and a lighter version of that. I find that's pretty interesting. I also like that there's a Chaffee tank as well, another brand new unit as well for the American Army. Kind of that's kind of the peak or the pinnacle of light tanks, from my understanding. And that one is, that can even go toe-to-toe with the Panzer IV at times, under the right conditions, of course. but it's got some unique capabilities. This Greyhound's still making good work, though.
Yeah, the Vet 3 Greyhound with its speed bonus, getting in there behind enemy lines, blocking that AT gun, trying to take it out, blocking those Panzergrens. Doing a lot of good work, but he's got to be very careful here. He could get caught by the Panzer IV and the AT gun as it sets up, but it looks like he does a good job of dodging it. Another strong aspect of the Americans this time around is we've really tried to double down on their air supremacy that they've had, and one of their tech options is actually called the Air Support Center. And what that does by choosing that as your tech choice, it actually gives you access to 3 plane abilities in your core army, which can really turn the tide of a fight without having to go a battle group to actually get air support. And what that allows you to do, it gives you again some additional reconnaissance with a recon run, as we mentioned earlier, and a strafing run and a P-47 bombing run. So a lot of combat utility there in air support. So it doesn't look like DevM went the air support center this time around, probably because he went airborne and he felt he had enough air support with that. But with other builds, you can complement your battle group with a different style support center, the other 2 being infantry focus and mechanized focus. So you could actually complement your airborne battle group with the air support center and get a ton of air support, or diversify it with a mechanized or infantry focused support center that gives you access to a few different global abilities that are currently utilized in the same UI or HUD position as the field marshals, which you see on the left-hand side there above the minimap. So for those who for those of our American players watching this, definitely take a look at that and experiment with multiple different types of build orders with your support centers and battle groups complementing each other.
Yeah, those support centers, the faction mechanics really do shake up the experience. Oh my goodness, we've seen a pretty big push at this point in time.
Yeah, not looking good for DevM.
Quite a few wrecked vehicles just outside the base, and we got a couple Panzer IVs going in. But I know if I know these 2, they will play to the death. You might or you have an airstrike at your door, just saying hello, just in case.
Yeah, knock knock. Brumbar just doing devastating damage to those poor riflemen. And what you just saw, actually, an air ability activated by DevM there as well, which is the airdrop reinforcements, as you see actually on the beachfront on the minimap there. And I think, yeah, we'll probably scroll to it in a little bit here, but yeah, there we go. So the airdrop reinforce is reinforcing all the units in an area on the map through airdropped reinforcements coming down from those planes that you saw, helping them stay bolstered and stay on the front line. But I think it might be a little too late at this point, as you see 2 Panzer IVs just chilling in DevM's base. They're doing a lot of damage. So I think at this point he's just experimenting with some of the unique battle group abilities, dropping in an airdropped AT gun as well. I think
this is not a bad move, actually.
Not a bad move at all. I think he's really going for the moral victory of just killing that Brumbar that's been hassling him for the better half of this match. That I think he's just has a vendetta to kill.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that airdrop reinforcements is one of my personal favorites in terms of a new capability for the airborne battle group this time around. So, it can allow for these high risk pushes into, deeper into enemy territory. In DevM's case, this was pretty high risk, but yeah, I'll be really interested to see how this ability shakes out in our larger team games. Oh my goodness, was that the Brumbar?
Brumbar wiping those 2 riflemen on retreat here. He's still hunting them with the paratrooper squad with the bazookas. The Brumbar is almost dead here, just a fraction of health. And even though he is hitting that frontal armor and he's getting a lot of bounced shots, I saw a couple penetrate there and finally kills that Brumbar. One thing to note is this time around we're actually experimenting with deflection damage. So even when you don't penetrate and you bounce that shot, it still does a sliver of damage, a little bit of chipping away at the overall health. So you can still at least get something out of those shots instead of just a bounce and getting nothing out of it. So there's still some value in trying to just hit those targets as much as you can. And I think it's the end of days for that poor paratrooper squad. Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah, it's not looking good for DevM at this point. But that was a great match. I had a lot of fun just watching it. Oh, and there we go.
That's it. Looks like DevM called it. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, Aimstrong played great.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. That's so again, thank you so much for watching this. Please take the time to, play our upcoming multiplayer demo, provide feedback for us. We'd love to hear from it in the forums and the surveys. And yeah, we hope you have a lot of fun.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.